Many years ago, before I was going through my divorce, I knew that I needed to get away and have some alone time. And I took a trip to Mexico, and I stayed at a retreat center where I just brought DVDs of yoga that I was doing, and I decided I was going to go and do my DVDs. I was just going to be by myself and journal and reflect and figure out what I wanted for myself. And it was a fantastic trip. And I came back with so much more awareness, sometimes taking that time for ourselves, stepping away from the life that we've grown so used to is really important. One of the things that was so profound for me was when I would go, so I went in the month of January, so it would get dark early in the evening. And when I would go for dinner at the main center, I had to walk from my hut on a trail up a hill in the dark. And they left, flashlights for us to use in our huts and whatnot. And basically, I would take the flashlight and I'd be shining it on the path, trying to find my way. And I started noticing on the second night, I was like, God, I'm walking along and I'm kind of going really fast like this, and I'm shining the light on the path. And I'm like, God, I'm feeling exhausted just walking up this hill for this distance. It was maybe a quarter mile. Nothing terribly long, but shining this flashlight in the dark and feeling exhausted by the time I would get, to the dining space, and not exhausted, but like I felt heightened anxiety and I'm wondering what's going on. And what I realized on the third night, I just kind of stopped and I turned the flashlight off and I let my eyes adjust for a moment, and I could see so much around me. It was a quiet place near the ocean. The starlight, the moonlight, they were enough to find my way. And what I noticed was with that flashlight, I had this narrow beam of light in front of me, and that's all I could see was the little step in front of me on the path. Everything around me was really dark. And so I couldn't see anything. I couldn't see from the periphery, only what was right in front of me. And what I started to realize, I remember having this profound experience, and I journaled about it, that like, what am I running from? What am I afraid of? Why is all of my focus on this beam of light in front of me rather than embracing the darkness around me and being afraid of it? Why am I focusing only on this narrow piece rather than also looking at the bigger picture and understanding that if I pause and I trust my inner light, I can see more. I can feel more. I can understand more. That narrow focus was making me anxious. It was causing my anxiety. So I was depending on this light, and that was creating a sense of victimhood in me. I've heard many people talk about, and myself included, we all are used to using these, the GPSs, right? And we used to use maps to get around, and now we have this GPS. And it's like it's making us stupid because we're depending upon these devices to tell us, turn here, in 10 miles, take this exit, whatever it is. And we forget, we don't know the next time we go where we were. We've relied on this one piece so much that we actually become dependent on it in a way that makes us reliant. That's not what our goal is. Our goal is to find more of our inner light, find more of our own sense of self, and be that. And let that shine our way. Let that find our way. Now, I'm not saying we can't use flashlights and we can't use GPSs, of course. But we want to just think about, be conscious about, be aware of what we're doing when we're choosing to be dependent on something, when we're choosing to be reliant. Are we letting that thing be sort of an interdependence where we say, okay, I bring this to the table and you bring that to the table and we both share and we both learn and we both grow? Or am I being codependent where one of us is probably the perpetrator and the other the victim, or one of us is the victim and one is the savior, right? This codependency triangle that we can get into. And we don't want to be doing that. This sharing that I'm offering you today is really about asking ourselves, what are we running from? What are we being overly dependent upon? What are we not paying attention to that might give us greater wisdom, that might give us greater insight, greater understanding of who we are and how we can show up in our lives, right? This is absolutely about noticing all the ways that we can walk our path consciously, creatively, and with a greater sense of independence, interdependence. When I turned off my flashlight, I was interdependent with the land. I was interdependent with the dark, right? I knew I needed to step carefully, but I had this awareness. I could see and feel my way without relying on such a narrow space. And I could find my way night after night from there on out. And I could find my way back in the dark as well. And my breath settled. My anxiety levels went away. And I knew I had something within me. I was no longer dependent on something outside of me. So I encourage you to pay attention to what you can tap into within you that allows you to feel that sense of courage and inner wisdom and inner light that sees in the dark.